The wedding is approaching. And my boyfriend has become very excited. With endless energy every night, before bed. I heard him answering the phone on the balcony. Bro. I need you to handle Ivy for a while longer. Sarah is about to give birth. And I'm really worried about her. Remember to act convincingly. Don't get caught. And well, switch back at the wedding. Oh. And try on the wedding suit for me tomorrow. Remember to choose the white one. A moment later. An okay came from the balcony. I smiled to myself, switching people. It's fine. I can switch people at the wedding too. When John returned to the room. I had just changed into my pajamas and was adjusting the straps. Someone hugged me from behind around the waist. Wife. He said it quite smoothly. I playfully flicked his forehead. Who's your wife? We're not married yet. And you're already calling me that. I don't acknowledge it. He smiled without replying. Just burying his head in my shoulder and nuzzling. John has a face as perfect as his brother's. But he's more clingy and has more tricks, simply put. He's both good at acting cute and good in bed, actually. Compared to my boyfriend. I prefer this twin brother more. So I'm quite enjoying this swapping game. I turned around in John's arms. Put my hands on his shoulders. And breathed out. Who were you just on the phone with? Hiding from me. What? Do you have a little lover? John smiled and kissed the corner of my mouth. Not telling you. It's a secret. He lifted me up and knelt on the bed with one leg. After a night of intense passion. I was completely exhausted. Too lazy to lift a finger. John still pleased me well as always. The light coming through the gap in the curtains shone warmly on my face. John hugged me from behind and gently planted several kisses. Ivy. Morning. A new day. Want you give me a kiss? See. The clinginess is coming, but I like it. I smiled and turned over. Pulled down his tie. Tilted my head up slightly. And kissed him for 2 minutes. All right. Is that enough reward? I'm exhausted. I don't have your energy. Let me sleep a bit more. I have to try on the wedding dress later. John licked his lips. Murmured in agreement. And just held me without speaking. I took a morning nap and woke up just in time for the dress fitting. The staff wheeled in racks of dresses one by one. Each holding a wedding gown from a famous brand. The other side were various suits custom made over 3 months actually. These suits were tailored to my fiancé Michael's measurements, but, being twins, Michael's size must fit John too. I stretched lazily and got up to try on the wedding dresses. Every time I tried one on, John's eyes lit up when I tried on the third sheer gown. He got up and walked to my side. His gaze fixed on me. His voice hoarse. Ivy. You're so beautiful. Whether I'm beautiful or not. I know it. I smiled shyly. Do you like this one? I like it too. Go try on the suits. See how they match. John leaned down and gave me a brief kiss. Help me pick. Sure. I walked over to the row of suits. My fingers gliding over each one. And picked out a white set and a black set. Try both of these. John smiled as he took them while he was changing. His phone on the sofa vibrated. And a few messages popped up. John. Started trying on the tux yet? Remember to pick the white one. Just choose the tie yourself. Cover your tattoo when you change. Don't let Ivy see it. So she doesn't get suspicious. I raised an eyebrow that Michael sure was busy. His mistress was about to give birth. Yet he hadn't forgotten to remind John about the tux, only glanced briefly before calmly looking away. John tried on both sets and asked for my opinion. I sauntered over. Circled him twice. Picked out a tie. And tied it on him myself. Go with this black one. It suits you. John gripped my hand. Pulled me into his arms. And said in a very affectionate tone. Okay. If Ivy likes it. Well, go with this one. After the fitting, John went back to work. The place we're living in now is my house. And Michael doesn't come often since John took over. He's treated it like our marital home. Coming almost every day. Saying he misses me. I teased. Once we're married, won't we see each other every day anyway? He grumbled. That's later. But I want to see you every day now too. I didn't mind. Since I wasn't the one doing all the hard work, I rested for a bit, recharged my energy, made a cup of black tea, and wandered into the study. I settled into the swivel chair, legs crossed, propping my head up as I admired the chat interface on the computer screen earlier. When Michael visited my place, he used my study for an urgent company meeting and, out of habit, didn't log out of his personal messaging app afterward. John never goes into the study either, always heading straight to the bedroom to find me as soon as he gets home. So neither of them knew I had a way to see their chat logs. Michael finished picking the tux. John: yeah. Michael: how's the act going? Any suspicion from Ivy? John: none. It's smooth. She hasn't noticed. I hummed a tune, scrolling the mouse, slowly reading down. Thanks for all your hard work. John: just hang in there, only 3 months left till the wedding. Sarah's belly is big now, and her emotions are unstable. She really can't do without me. No problem. It's what I should do. By the way, Iva's birthday is in a month. I ordered her some jewelry. Come by to pick it up when you have time. No need. I've got it covered. You did. When? Not long ago. If I'm going to play you, I have to go all out. I need to know everything about Ivy. You're always thorough. I trust you with this. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Seems like out of the three of us, Michael is the biggest fool. He has no idea what his brother's real plan is. I took a sip of my tea and kept reading. John: if you like Sarah so much, why not just break off the engagement with Ivy and marry her? Michael: I'd never break it off. I am just having fun on the side of me. Heart is still with Ivy, and I love her most. After Sarah gives birth, I'll send them abroad. She won't find out before the wedding. I don't want any surprises. So help me keep up the act, and thanks for covering for me at work once this is over. Well, switch back. John didn't reply after that, and the chat ended there. I crossed my legs the other way, twisted my neck, then relaxed against the back of the chair and finished this cup of black tea. Suddenly, the computer screen displayed your account has been logged in on another device. I narrowed my eyes. It seems Michael finally remembered that his private account was still logged in on my home computer. TSK. One less source of fun in the evening. John came back much earlier than usual. He didn't come to me first for a kiss as he always did, but went straight to the study, was drying my just washed hair and leaning against the doorframe. What's wrong? Working overtime tonight? John looked at the automatically locked computer screen, pondered for a moment, then smiled casually. Nothing. Just came to find something. He took off his suit jacket and draped it over the back of the chair, then walked over with those long legs. I really like Ivy. Have you used the study recently? I tossed my still wet hair to one side. No. You know, my study has always been just for decoration. John didn't respond, pretended to look him up and down, laughed, extended a finger to hook his belt, and pulled him close. My fingertip played lightly, skimming from his chest down to his abdomen. What? Do you think there's something shady on my computer? Are you suspecting I'm having an affair? Or did you tamper with something? John's eyes instantly darkened. I leaned in close to his throat and bit him as punishment. Speak. A light laugh came from above. John held me with one hand, pressing me against the wall. Ivy, what nonsense are you talking? How could I suspect you? Is there any other man in the world better than me? I love you. Love you enough to give my life for you. I tilted my head and smiled, leaned in to kiss him. What followed was the same as what we did every night. The height of passion. I deliberately called out Michael. Sure enough, this guy's strength increased, still so easily provoked. I enjoyed it thoroughly. John nipped at my ear. Baby, don't call me by my name from now on. I pretended not to know. Why? He kissed down. I prefer to hear you call me husband. Or darling, actually. On the first day the brothers switched. I recognized that the person standing in front of me wasn't my fiancé, because the look in John's eyes was too direct. Like a wolf that had been thirsty for a long time, thought for a bit and roughly figured out what was happening. After all, before this, Michael's actions had been especially suspicious, often getting called away during dates by a phone call. Claiming a project issue meant he had to rush back to the company, didn't care at all relationships or marriages for people like us or surface deals, each getting what they need. Besides, I really like Michael's face. So I agreed to the marriage without hesitation. I end this circle, whether married or not. There's no man who doesn't have a few women on the side. Similarly, no woman in the circle fails to keep a few men, but I'm picky. So far, I haven't found anyone better looking than Michael. When John came along, honestly, I was intrigued. This man has the same face that thrills me as Michael, but his vibe seems wilder. I just don't know how he is in bed. I am also very into this game. I'm happy to play along with them. Sure enough, John didn't let me down that night. I felt like I was floating on cloud 9. Unable to come back to earth, the sweat-drenched John held me, his fingers entwined in my hair, whispering in my ear, "Ivy, I'm so happy. I finally have you." I lifted my eyelids, reached out with my fingertip to brush his damp bangs aside, revealing his bright eyes. With my long nails, I slowly traced from his brows to the corner of his mouth, smiling affectionately. "That's not certain. We're not married yet. You better watch out or I might run away." Fire burned in John's eyes, but it was hard to say what kind of fire it was. He didn't reply, just held me tightly. From that day on, this swapping game officially began, according to Michael's plan. 2 months later, after Sarah gave birth, before the wedding, they were supposed to swap back without anyone noticing, but things didn't go as smoothly as he thought. Today is the 70th birthday of the current head of the Wilson family, the patriarch. On such an important occasion, both grandsons must be present simultaneously, but even under these circumstances, they still hadn't swapped back. It's unclear who refused to swap. I didn't care. Not swapping made it even more exciting. What was even more exciting was that I actually saw the pregnant Sarah at the banquet. Michael's courage was extraordinary. He dared to bring her openly to the banquet. She looked just like the photo my assistant sent. Fair-skinned, with long hair, the pregnancy hadn't distorted her figure too much. Just from her back, she could easily charm men. How interesting. I tucked a strand of curly hair behind my ear, walked over in high heels, and spoke politely. "You seem unfamiliar. I haven't seen you before." "Hello. I'm Ivy." Sarah turned around in surprise, the pastry in her hand clattering to the floor, ignored her flustered state and extended my hand friendly. She gave me a suspicious look. Then, as if thinking of something, smiled brightly, raised her head a bit, and shook my hand. "Hello. I'm Sarah. My husband's surname is Wilson." Showed just the right amount of surprise. What a coincidence. My fiancé also has the surname Wilson. We really have fate. How about Sarah? A man quickly walked up beside her, steadied her, and whispered, "Didn't I tell you to stay put? You disappeared as soon as I turned around. Do you know how worried I was? You're pregnant. What if someone bumps into you?" Sarah stuck out her tongue. "I'm sorry. I was a bit hungry, so I came over to have some cake. Don't be mad. I promise I won't run off again." The man sighed in relief and looked up the moment our eyes met. He froze. I caught a fleeting unnatural expression on his face, pretending to be slightly surprised. I parted my lips slightly. "You are Ivy." I turned towards the voice. John in a crisp suit walked over to me from the other side, reaching out to hold my waist tightly. I showed an understanding expression and looked at Michael. "You two brothers are so alike. I almost couldn't tell you apart just now. So Sarah is John's girlfriend. No wonder you said your husband's surname is Wilson. Congratulations, John, on becoming a father, but you should have brought such a beautiful girlfriend to meet us sooner, isn't that right, darling?" I coquettishly linked arms with the man beside me. Pressing my chest against him. As I spoke, Michael's gaze was fixed on where John and I were close together. Frowning slightly, he didn't speak for a long moment. I looked up at John and said, "Why isn't your brother responding to me?" John smiled. Took a step forward, adopting an elder brother's stance. "Your sister-in-law is talking to you. Why aren't you answering?" Michael's expression looked rather unpleasant. He finally nodded at me and reluctantly called out, "Sister-in-law." Honestly, it was hilarious. My real fiancé, green-faced with envy in front of his brother, calling me sister-in-law. This scene should have been recorded. It's worth replaying 20 times. I smiled sweetly and said, "All right. I know you lovebirds are all over each other, so we won't disturb you any longer. Let's catch up another time." I leaned my whole body against John, turned my head to him, and cooed, "Darling, how about we go dance over there? It's been so long since we danced together. I really miss it." John gently tapped my nose and replied, "Sure. I'll do anything with you." Michael's expression visibly darkened. But no one cared except Sarah, right in front of Michael. John openly wrapped his arm around me and led us through the crowd into the dance floor. John was an excellent dancer, and I wasn't bad either. So our moves were practically perfect, but with every turn, I caught a glimpse of Michael's look, as if he'd caught someone cheating. I couldn't help but let my smile widen a bit more after the dance ended. Enthusiastic applause erupted all around. Mr. Wilson and Miss Brown have such a great relationship, a perfect match. Made in heaven. Exactly. They're so loving even before marriage. Once they're married, Mr. Wilson will spoil his wife rotten. I wish my partner had even half the devotion Mr. Wilson does. Seizing the moment amid all the praise, I stood on tiptoe and planted a public kiss on John's lips. John immediately wrapped his arm around my waist and deepened the kiss with possessive intensity. Everyone around us applauded, except Michael. His shoulders were tense, and his face had turned pitch black. As we left the floor, I held John's hand and met the man's gloomy gaze. Oh dear. He seems really angry. Sarah stood nearby, calling Michael's name several times with no response, feeling quite pleased. I said goodbye to John, ignored the man's stare, and headed to the restroom. I touched up my makeup in front of the mirror. Everyone entering the restroom greeted me with a smile because the Wilson family's status was high enough. And my own Brown family reputation wasn't weak either, so I've always been someone others look up to. After drying my hands, I walked out and spotted the brothers in a corner. Michael said in a low voice, "John, the first only asked you to help me deal with Ivy. Not to actually be her boyfriend, after all. She'll be your sister-in-law someday, even though it's an act. You still need to watch your boundaries." John leaned against the wall, his identical face showing a hint of nonchalance. "I know. But in situations like this, we have to put on a show." When Ivy kissed me, I couldn't just pull away, could I? "Do you want her to get suspicious?" Michael frowned. "It's not that. Does Ivy usually come on to you like that? You haven't touched her, have you?" John clicked his tongue. No. No. Who's the one acting like a wolf every night? Insatiable. I'm done talking. If you're not happy, we can switch back right now. You handle explaining things to Sarah yourself." At the mention of Sarah, Michael's expression paused. After a moment of hesitation, his expression softened. "Don't mind me. I'm just being oversensitive. I need more time to sort things out with Sarah, at least until the baby is born. As for Ivy, you'll have to help me keep it hidden for a few more months, before the wedding." "Well, switch back." Seeing they had almost finished talking, I called the waiter, took a glass of not too strong wine, drank it in one gulp, then walked unsteadily towards these two men. Michael, hearing me call out, Michael instinctively turned around, but right in front of him, I threw myself into John's arms. I wrapped my arms around the man's neck, buried my face in his neck, and rubbed affectionately. "Darling, I think I'm drunk. I want to go home." Can we go home? The tone was so sickeningly sweet it gave me goosebumps. Michael stepped to my side, frowning as he tried to help me up. Are you drunk? I'll have someone prepare some hangover remedy. But John rudely blocked his move. No need. I'll handle the hangover remedy. Ivy is drunk. I'll take her home first. Cover for me with Grandpa. John patted my head, then scooped me up by the knees, carrying me horizontally past Michael. I relaxed my head against the man's shoulder, lifting my eyelids. I saw Michael's livid face and the veins bulging at his temples. Only after we exited the banquet hall doors did that gloomy gaze disappear. For the next month, I kept living as usual, sleeping when I could. And sleeping with people too. The wedding preparations progressed smoothly, but John's phone rang more frequently, buzzing non-stop at night. If I didn't know who he was talking to, I'd have thought he was seeing someone else on the side. After one particularly intense session, John went to shower as usual. His phone on the bedside table buzzed twice, curious about what Michael had sent him. I grabbed the phone, staring at the lock screen. I thought for a moment and entered my birthday. The chat window popped up immediately. John. Sarah has moved into the postnatal care center. She has professional care now. So we'll switch back tomorrow. She had a premature birth and must be feeling weak. No rush. Stay with her a few more days. No need. I'll come see Ivy tomorrow. You go back to your place. You've been taking care of Sarah for 4 months while she was pregnant. What's a few more days for her recovery? Don't you want to switch? I'm just thinking of you both. The chat paused for a long time before Michael's latest message appeared. John. I'm warning you. Don't covet what isn't yours. Remember, you're just acting. You're not Ivy's boyfriend. I am. Tomorrow, we return to our rightful places. I narrowed my eyes. Return. Not so easily. The shower water stopped, and I put the phone back. John climbed into bed, damp, hugging and kissing me. I complained, annoyed. Your phone keeps buzzing. Who is that woman always calling you? John pulled the covers over our waists. No one. Just scam calls. Ignore them. Let's sleep. Scam calls. I chuckled. Soft lie wasn't wrong. 2 liars. No. Add me. 3 liars. The next day, John went to the office as usual. I curled up on the sofa, looking over the financial report of the Wilson family. Not long after, the front door suddenly swung open. I thought John had come back, but when I looked up, it was actually my real fiancé standing there. He casually took off his coat, smiling as he said, Ivy, I'm home. I stood up, studying him quietly for a few moments before suddenly laughing out loud. John, why are you joking with me like this? Did you come here to test if I can tell you and your brother apart? Well, you're underestimating me. What brings you to my place? Looking for your brother. He just left for the office. Michael froze instantly, pausing for a long moment before pointing a finger at himself. You think him, John? What else? Do you think I can't recognize my own fiancé? I finished with a smile, enjoying how his face turned increasingly pale. Why do you think him, John? Because I walked forward in my silk pajamas, dragging my feet. My fingertips slid slowly from his shoulder to the side of his neck. You don't have the bite mark I left here last night. Michael's pupils instantly contracted. You too. His accusing words were cut off by the abrupt ring of his phone. He glanced at it and hung up. But it rang again almost immediately. This persistent, hauntingly urgent sound. I crossed my arms and took a step back, nodding toward the phone with my eyes. Go ahead and answer it. Your brother mentioned your girlfriend just gave birth. It might be something urgent. Michael choked back a response before finally answering the call with a grim expression. No need to guess. It was Sarah calling. The baby won't stop crying. Then feed her. Calling me want help. If she's not hungry, hand her to the nana. That's what I'm paying so much for. What? She needs to go to the hospital right now. Fine. Fine. I get it. I'll be there soon. Stop nagging. See, that's the inherent flaw in men.at. The banquet. He treated Sarah like some precious treasure, but the moment the baby arrived, he turned into this awful mess. did Sarah stop satisfying him? Or did he suddenly remember how good his fiancé is? He hung up impatiently and started to say something to me. I cut him off first, schooling my expression into a stern lecture. Newborns have a lot of issues. If something seems wrong, you must see a doctor right away. Don't let it turn into a big problem. Go on. It sounds pretty urgent. Haven't even changed out of this yet. So I won't see you out. I turned and leaned back against the sofa. Putting on a dismissive good riddance air, Michael stood there for a while. But when I ignored him and his phone rang again, he grabbed his coat and left. The door slammed shut with a distinct note of reluctance. Swung one leg idly. Michael barely arrived before being called away. Definitely John's doing. Looked like this game was heading toward its climax that evening. It was John who came home. He was more passionate than usual, sweeping me up and pinning me against the door the moment he walked in, kissing me fiercely. I unhurriedly undid his belt. Miss me that much today? He held me tight, refusing to let go. I miss you like this every day. I played along perfectly, my hands roaming all over his body, lighting fires everywhere. By the way, your brother came over today. He walked in and called me Ivy right away, so intimately that it startled me. John paused for a moment, then tightened his grip around my waist. You're sure it's him? Of course. I bit his ear. How could I mistake the person who sleeps in the same bed with me every night? The pressure on my waist was unusually strong. Yes, baby, he murmured against my lips. You need to know. The one who sleeps with you every night is me. After saying that, John picked me up with one arm and walked a few steps toward the couch. 2 hours later, I picked up the clothes thrown in the corner, got dressed, and got up to pour some water. John had also put on his pants and hugged me from behind, clinging tightly. Ivy, you're mine. You're not anyone else's. You're mine, and you can only marry me. He was really into the role. Got it. Got it. I patted his hand, signaling him to let go. When the front door suddenly swung open, Michael froze in the doorway, and our eyes met. John reacted first, stepping in front of me in one stride. The next instant, he was knocked to the ground by a punch. Michael's eyes were red with rage, his fists landing blow after blow, each one with full force. John, Ivy is my woman. Damn it. The situation quickly turned into a brawl between the two. I stood to the side, calling out stop fighting every now and then, spinning in place and adding cut it out. When the tables turned and Michael was pinned to the ground, unable to move, I hypocritically stepped in to pull John away. What are you two doing? Brothers fighting for no reason. Especially you. I glared at Michael, coming to my place late at night and starting a fight without a word. What exactly do you want? Michael's hand veins were bulging. Ivy. Michael. Your damn boyfriend. I put on a completely skeptical expression. What are you talking about? Didn't you just take your kid to the hospital this afternoon? Isn't your girlfriend Sarah? Jokes have limits. And this commotion is really disturbing our rest. Michael was very emotional. Disturbing. I'm disturbing your rest. Looks like I'm disturbing your sex instead. I furrowed my brows, my voice turning cold enough. John and I are getting married soon, so even if we're having sex, what's it to you? John raised an eyebrow nearby but stayed silent. Married. Michael echoed exaggeratedly. Ivy, open your eyes and see who he really is. He grabbed John's arm and shoved it in my face. John and I look alike. Even Grandpa sometimes can't tell us apart. But you know I've never had a tattoo, while John has. He has a flower tattooed on his arm. I glanced at it. Where? He insisted. You didn't notice because he covered it with foundation. Look. Michael started rubbing the arm, but even after the skin turned red, there was no sign of any tattoo. How? Did you remove it? Michael stared at John in disbelief. I sneered. Enough of this commotion. It's getting late. I won't keep you. John pulled out his arm, walked to my side, and arrogantly pulled me into his embrace. his head held high. Yes. Michael. Your girlfriend is at the maternity center. She just gave birth to a child for you. It's been quite exhausting. As for Ivy, she's my fiancé now. And will be my wife in the future. What business is it of yours? People can't have their cake and eat it too. Don't you agree? John's tone was full of sarcasm and boastfulness. Michael's neck flushed red with anger. He almost gritted his teeth to pieces. Damn it. Well. They started fighting again. I didn't want to stop them. I was tired, since they wanted to make a scene so badly. I decided to add fuel to the fire. The bigger the commotion, the more thrilling it would be. I simply sat on the sofa, resting my head on my hand to watch. While dialing Mr. Wilson's number, the old man was furious. Soon, the Wilson family sent someone to pick us up and take us to the Wilson family estate. Mr. Wilson tapped his cane, and the two brothers knelt straight down. But both were stubbornly defiant. I sat aside, sipping the tea handed to me by the butler. The Wilson family was the business Mr. Wilson had built from scratch in his youth. And despite being nearly 70, no one dared to challenge him. Speak. What happened? Everyone except me tensed up. Michael's expression became particularly grim. After all, he was the one who proposed the switch. And he probably never imagined things would escalate to this point. Or that it would come to such an absurd confrontation in front of his grandfather. But that's exactly what I wanted. Michael lowered his head and didn't speak. Instead, John calmly laid out the whole story. He was a smart man, knowing that in this situation, hiding it was pointless. When John mentioned the switch, I deliberately knocked over the tea, covered my mouth in disbelief, blinked a few times, and tried to squeeze out a few tears. You actually. Ivy. You bastards. Mr. Wilson struck with his cane, cutting off John's explanation. How could the Wilson family produce two such scoundrels like you? Disgraceful. I cried pitifully, gasping for breath, pretending to be fragile and pitiable. Seeing me like that, Mr. Wilson became even angrier, his eyes bulging with rage. And he struck each of them hard with his cane, and no one dared to dodge. You two. Kneel here. You can get up only when Ivy allows it. Mr. Wilson called me alone into his study, holding a tissue. I wiped the tears from the corner of my eye. Still sobbing, the gray-haired old man before me had lost his earlier severity, his expression filled with remorse. Ivy. What those two did is too much. The Wilson family has wronged you. I know the outcome can't be reversed, whether you want to call off the engagement or whatever. I support you, if you call it off. I'll explain to the public that it's the Wilson family's fault and has nothing to do with the Brown family. If you want any compensation, you can tell me. The Wilson family could grow so large. Thanks to Mr. Wilson's decisive methods and his sense of justice, many people competed to work with him because of this fairness. I paused for a moment, straightened my back. Grandfather, Michael doing this kind of thing isn't just a scandal for the Wilson family, but also a scandal for my Brown family. There's no future between him and me anymore. And I won't marry him. But the alliance marriage between the Wilson and Brown families is already widely known. Calling it off now will inevitably harm both families' interests. The marriage can continue or be delayed. But the choice of partner. I think you understand what I mean. As for compensation, Michael deceiving me is a fact. So I demand 5% of the Wilson family's shares. I laid out my conditions calmly and logically, besides playing along with their act. Securing the Wilson family's equity was my main goal. As for the marriage, I wanted the Wilson family heir, since I didn't fancy Michael. Both the groom and heir could have a different name. Grandfather hesitated briefly, then nodded slightly. Tomorrow, the share transfer agreement will be handed to you. As for Michael, once you've calmed down, I'll have him apologize to you personally. The mistress and illegitimate child he kept outside. The Wilson family will never acknowledge them. I can guarantee that. About the engagement, I'll follow your lead, and no matter what. You, Ivy, are the only granddaughter-in-law I recognize. Grandfather spoke sincerely to me, asking me to stay there to settle my emotions. That he'd let those two scoundrels downstairs get up whenever I cooled off. I obediently agreed once he left. I leaned back on the sofa and found a random show to watch. 2 hours later, I stretched lazily, tousled my hair a bit, and went downstairs. The brothers were still kneeling. John knelt upright, while Michael knelt hunched over. Seeing this, even though they were twins, John's posture was far better than Michael's. I liked him more and more, suppressing a smile. I kept a stern face as I walked up to Michael and nudged his knee with the tip of my high heel. Get up. Michael looked at me affectionately, steadied himself on the floor, and shakily rose. Before he could straighten his back, I slapped him hard. Holding nothing back, the sharp crack echoed loudly, and his face jerked to the side. Ivy. Smack. Another slap. 2 palm prints, perfectly symmetrical, looked quite nice. Actually, he fought down his humiliated anger and opened his mouth to speak. I snapped. Filthy thing. Get out of here. Don't talk to me. I took a small step over to John. You. Get up. John looked directly into my eyes and slowly stood. As I raised my hand to slap him, he caught it gently. Not using force. Just holding it loosely. Don't hit with your hand. It'll hurt. He pulled out his belt. Use this. You can hit me however you want. I couldn't help but find it amusing. He was practically begging for a beating. Glancing over, Michael's face was a mix of red and green. Utterly priceless. I pursed my lips. Forget it. It's just as much trouble. Even though John had agreed to Michael's request to deceive me, I did enjoy the benefits. Call it even. That slap was forgiven. I pulled my hand back, ignored both of them, grabbed my bag, and left the Wilson family's old mansion. Returned to the Brown family. Michael had been trying to contact me to apologize. Ignored him and only mentioned breaking up and calling off the engagement. Michael rushed to my doorstep overnight, after making him stand for an hour. I had the servant let him in, after not seeing him for a few days. Michael looked terrible. He had a layer of stubble on his chin, and his eyes showed indescribable fatigue. As soon as he saw me, he came over and tightly held my hand, choking up. Ivy, can we not break up? Sarah was an accident. I didn't mean to cheat. I was just confused for a moment and had John come to deceive you. But I really only meant for him to deal with you. I never intended for him to touch you. He's a bastard. Ivy, I sincerely love you and truly want to marry you. Promise this kind of thing will never happen again. I'm already planning to send Sarah abroad. Forgive me this time. And well, hold the wedding as scheduled. Okay. Oh. How shameless, still begging for my forgiveness now. You expect me to forgive you with just a few casual words. Michael, do I look that despicable to you? The man's face stiffened. That's not what I meant. Enough. Don't say any more. I waved my hand and turned my back regarding canceling the engagement. Your grandfather has agreed to, from now on, we have no relationship. When you see me, please address me as Miss Brown. Michael ignored it and stubbornly said, I don't agree. I won't break up with you. Breaking up is a notice, not a discussion. But I still love you. But I'm disgusted by how dirty you are. Perhaps my indifferent attitude provoked him, as Michael suddenly became emotional. Ivy, why do you have to keep harping on this? I just made one mistake. And you're pursuing it like this. Don't you know that in our circle, who is truly clean? Yes, I cheated. And I had John deceive you. I admit it was wrong. But what about you? Weren't you touched by John too? How clean are you? Why not just close your eyes and let this matter pass? Don't mention Sarah again. And I won't be disgusted that John touched you. Well, get married as usual. Isn't that fine? Why do you have to make it so ugly? Why? Because I've taken a liking to someone else. I pulled out a manila envelope from under the coffee table and threw it at Michael. Open it and see. Michael suppressed his emotions, opened it, and then froze completely. He flipped through the photos one by one in disbelief. You. Why do you have these? Could it be? You knew all along. Yes. I leaned on the armrest, propping my head. I knew all along. That manila envelope contained photos of Michael and Sarah from various times. There were photos of them holding hands, kissing. Sarah with a big belly. And after giving birth, you knew, and still. You did it on purpose. You always knew the person by your side was John. Michael threw all the photos to the ground. Ivy. You fucking played me. I chuckled. Does it matter? What matters most is if you keep harassing me. These photos will be on the front page of all major news sections tomorrow. Guess what the consequences will be? Michael wasn't stupid. Under public pressure, the Wilson family's stocks would inevitably fall. All the losses would be blamed on him, but he still insisted. So what? The Wilson family can afford this loss. I nodded. Indeed. The Wilson family is vast and powerful. This isn't a big storm. But what about the old man? Michael, I kindly remind you, you're not the only heir of the Wilson family who decides your position as Michael. Which is more important? Me or the Wilson family fortune? Michael clenched his fist. I know his type too well. Even his own mother can't compare to the position of Wilson family heir. He'll compromise eventually, sure enough. Not long after. He gritted his back teeth and spoke. Ivy. You're ruthless. Call off the engagement with me, don't regret it. Damn it, I couldn't be bothered to look at him again and mercilessly kicked him out the rest of the time. I waited for another person. 2 days later. John found me. He still had that exquisitely perfect face. Handsome beyond reproach. Ivy. Why call me so intimately? What's our relationship? I'm not your girlfriend. I smiled at the corner of my mouth. He took a step forward. You're calling off the engagement with my brother Michael. So, I still have a chance. He rolled up his sleeve, revealing his forearm. His gaze fixed on my face. Before. There was a tattoo here. A flower. A gardenia. I've liked you for a long time. Much earlier than Michael. You just didn't know. When I found out you agreed to the marriage alliance with the Wilson family, I was ecstatic. But I never expected you to choose Michael. I couldn't accept it. Even thought about stealing the bride. When Michael asked me to replace him, I knew it was unfair to you. But I was shamefully excited to keep you from finding out. I had the tattoo removed the next day. I wished I could become him forever. I'm actually quite thankful to Michael. If it weren't for his cheating, I'd have no reason to get close to you. And you wouldn't call off the engagement with him. God still favors me, giving me this chance to pursue you again. As long as I can be with you, I'll do whatever it takes. John's eyes were deep and dark. Ivy, I can be your dog. Or your knife. I know what you really want. I raised an eyebrow when John spoke. There was a strange madness in his eyes. Wild and sexy, TSK. I really love this type. How great it would have been to choose the younger brother from the start. I stretched out my foot and nudged his calf, beckoning him with a finger. He immediately bent down. I wrapped my arm around his neck. John, I'm giving you a chance. The Wilson family. Go fight Michael for it. I want the Wilson family heir. If you win it, I'm yours. Before. John didn't fight because he wasn't interested, but in terms of ability. He's actually not worse than Michael. Michael thinks calling off the engagement with me means he can rest easy. Then he underestimates me too much. He plays with me so naturally. I can play with him too. John stared at me intensely for a while, then slowly stroked my cheek with the back of his hand, and took a gift box from his pocket. Ivy, I'll make you the most powerful woman in city. Happy birthday, my baby. The battle for succession began. Michael never took John seriously before. What ability does a tech guy have to manage a conglomerate? But he had no idea that during the 2 months John had impersonated him. John had thoroughly grasped every aspect of the group's operations, even uncovering some of Michael's shady dealings. However, I wasn't particularly interested in their power struggle. I only cared about the outcome. I also believed John would give me a satisfactory answer soon. Michael's defeat became evident. Sarah panicked, heard she stormed into the Wilson family estate with her child. Kneeling before the old patriarch, begging him to look at his grandson, she tried to leverage the Wilson bloodline to secure more benefits for herself. Look, Michael has given you a grandson. Ensuring the Wilson legacy continues, shouldn't the Wilson group rightfully be Michael's? But the old patriarch didn't utter a word. Having her thrown out directly, the Wilson family values dignity and propriety above all. A home wrecker is ultimately something that can't be shown in respectable company, let alone showing up unannounced with a love child. That evening, upon learning what happened, Michael had a massive blowout fight with Sarah. Every word was blame and belittlement, berated her for not leaving as arranged, for going to the Wilson estate, and for seducing him in the first place. He called her stupid and brainless. Not worth half of me, Sarah lashed back. She screamed that he was useless, couldn't even compete with his younger brother for the company, and that she must have been blind to be with him. Michael, his face dark with rage, told her to take the child and get out. Not surprising. I've seen this drama of lovers turning into enemies countless times. They all share the same flaw: overestimating themselves. The sheer audacity. Also knew Sarah would inevitably come to me. Sure enough, 2 days later, she requested a meeting. I led her into the Brown family villa. She walked in holding her child, a far cry from the charming beauty I'd seen at the banquet. She got straight to the point. Give me 20 million, and I'll leave with the child. I won't see Michael again. I'll give him back to you. Me wanting to have your cake and eat it too. I laughed out loud. Why on earth would you think Ivy would still want a man like Michael? Did you think calling off the engagement was some childish game? She froze. I took a sip of my black tea. My words merciless. Michael was right. You really are quite foolish. You believe that just because Michael doted on you obsessively before, he'd be devoted to you forever. That's incredibly naive, let me tell you. In our circles, the one thing men never lack is women. Today he might love you to death, promising you the moon and stars. Tomorrow, he could be smitten with some starlet or supermodel, toss you some money, and tell you to disappear forever, never bothering him again. What attracted him was your youth, beauty, gentleness, and attentiveness. Beyond that, you have nothing. Oh, the child. But if the old patriarch doesn't acknowledge this child, how much use is he? He'll only be a stain on Michael's standing in his grandfather's eyes. I end this situation. Your smartest move would be to play to your strengths. Flatter him, cater to him, and extract money from him. A starved camel is still bigger than a horse, no matter how low he falls. What he can give you far exceeds anything you could scrape together elsewhere, but you foolishly thought that since I broke up with him, you were the official partner. And you actually argued with him, sweetie. You're just a caged bird he keeps. What makes you think you have the right to challenge him? Sarah's face turned ghostly pale, her fingers twisting together. Of all the mistresses I've seen over the years, you're the least clever. You take yourself far too seriously. Take today, for instance. You came to me, but to negotiate terms. You've misunderstood one crucial thing. Your terms hold zero appeal for me. Why would I make this deal with you? You should have started by apologizing to me, kneeling and crying, begging for my forgiveness, acting as pitifully as possible, hoping to stir my sympathy. We're both women. Maybe I'd have a sudden surge of generosity and throw you some money. I lowered my gaze, blowing gently on the steam rising from my tea. Sarah, grinding her back teeth, stubbornly held her ground. I won't stoop that low. I have my dignity. So she wants dignity. I almost laughed out loud. Forget it. It's pointless. The child in her arms was probably hungry, crying in its sleep. I had no interest in continuing the conversation with her. So I stood up to shoo her away. Go. There's nothing more to talk about, I don't speak with fools. Although I'm free now, I don't want to waste time on nonsense. I called the servant to see her out, ignored her pleas to stay, and turned back into the house. A few days later, after Sarah saw that Michael was determined to reject her, she abandoned the child at the entrance of the Wilson family mansion and ran off alone. Not long after, Michael also fell, because John gathered all the evidence and exposed Michael's dirty deeds to the Wilson family elder. The Wilson family elder flew into a rage, immediately convened a board meeting, dismissed Michael from his position, and installed John in power. I wasn't surprised by this outcome, after all. I've always had confidence in John. In every aspect. I heard that on that day, Michael smashed everything in his room, locked himself in, drank, and called me all night. That same night, John found me. As soon as we met, he pinned me against the wall and kissed me. Ivy. He was so eager, I let him kiss me for a minute, then pushed him away. What's the rush? He pulled me into his embrace. Ivy. Look. I did it. Are you satisfied with this blade of yours? As long as you want it. The Wilson family is yours. I curled my lips and kicked his knee, just giving it to me like that. Are you willing? John laughed, wickedly and madly. Ivy. You're more important than anything in the world. Whatever you want, I can give it to you, even my life. Or Michael's life. I paused, then sneered. Mad dog. Yes. I am a mad dog. He grabbed my finger and gently bit it. It'll only be your dog, forget it. It's not the first time I've known he's crazy, since he's a mad dog. I'll keep him by my side and take good care of him. John scooped me up, carried me into the bedroom, threw me on the bed, and pulled off his tie with one hand. Ivy. When will you give me a status? I laughed too and kicked him away. That depends on my mood. Whether your name is the groom at the wedding depends on how hard you work from now on.